Secret agents from the GCHQ department tasked with stopping ransomware attacks, which is when hackers steal data, lock computer systems and demand a ransom, say they're dealing with at least one incident every day. Well, the National Cyber Security Centre is working with Marks and Spencer's after its IT system was shut down earlier this year, you may remember. Well, the BBC's Panorama programme has also been told that 2025 is likely to be the worst year on record for ransomware attacks. BBC Panorama's Richard Bilton has more.
When the attack comes, it can be hard to spot.
We always got a handover from the night supervisor, so first thing you get out of bed in the morning, cup of tea, bang up the email. The night supervisor had sort of written on there that he'd suffered some challenges through the night with some computer systems not working quite properly.
In 2023, KNP was running 500 trucks, most under the brand name Knights of Old. A ransomware gang locked their computers and stole their data. This message appeared.
For now, let's keep all the tears and resentment to ourselves and try to build a constructive dialogue.
The gang demanded a ransom to put things back, but KNP didn't have the money. The company went bust because the hackers had worked out an employee's password.
Have you ever told them?
No.
Why?
Would you want to know if it was you?
Disruption at Marks and Spencer's operations after a cyber attack over Easter is still continuing.
It's been a summer of cyber attacks. M&S and the Co-op both breached. It means high pressure in here. This is the front line. Panorama has been given access to the National Cyber Security Centre, part of GCHQ. These are spies fighting cyber gangs.
It's incredibly common. I mean, we get in at least one report a day of an organisation being encrypted. There are so many attackers out there targeting organisations all the time that all you need to do is slip up once and they might find a chink that they can get in.
As we stand at the moment with ransomware, are the criminals winning?
I don't think I'd say the criminals are winning.
They're doing well though, aren't they?
The criminals are doing well. At the end of the day, we see so many cyber attacks that aren't successful. Sadly, it isn't a surprise when one or two do get through and they create the scale of impact that we've seen.
If prevention fails, another team steps in. This unit from the National Crime Agency is helping Marks and Spencer. Recently, 4 people were arrested.
It's incredibly busy. The demand has increased significantly year on year. I predict it's going to be the worst year on record for ransomware attacks in the UK, for sure.
Ransomware is the growing, lucrative crime that threatens us all.
Well, Richard Bilton joins us now. Fascinating and important investigation there. Just tell us how you got access to be able to see what exactly the security services are doing.
I mean, I've been interested in ransomware for a while, and so I approached the National Cyber Security Centre last winter, but then subsequently Marks and Spencer, the Co-op, there've been these big attacks and it's brought the issue into the foreground. And I think the people in the NCSC thought, look, this is a massive threat and people need to know the scale of it. I mean, their message is quite clear. You heard it in that piece, which is, we will do all that we can to provide a first layer, if you like, to make sure people are safe of ongoing attacks or try and prevent them and make the system more robust. But in the end, it's down to companies to protect themselves. Like if you had a warehouse full of goods, the police might advise you on the best way of protecting that warehouse, but ultimately it's down to you. And they think, generally, as a nation, and they're backed up by reports from people like the National Audit Office, as a nation, we're probably not doing enough at the moment. We need to do a lot more.
And you say the nation needs to do a lot more. So how grave is the threat then?
I mean, it's sort of terrifyingly real, I think. If you talk to people who know about this world, they will just casually say that we are quite near a national incident. So the National Audit Office said that the threat was severe and advancing quickly. That was their words. A parliamentary joint committee suggested that we were quite close to a catastrophic incident. I mean, under siege is a big expression, but there are attacks all the time. And so the NCSC, part of GCHQ, they're doing their job, they would say, as a sort of layer, and they say, we don't know whether this is true, but they tell us that they fend off far more than we actually see in the end. But our level in this country of cyber defence is low. We've seen very big companies like Marks and Spencer and Co-op, they have been laid low by these attacks. So 19,000 ransomware attacks on UK businesses last year. Industry sources say the average demand is about £4 million a year. Talk to people who know about this world and they'll tell you a lot of companies pay and we never get to hear about it. They just pay and make it go away. So this is a genuine threat. And of course, all our data is wrapped up on the internet. This is not some different thing about companies that we shop in. It's about all of us. All of us hand our data over. If that company is then breached, then we're all in it.
It's a really interesting subject, isn't it, Richard? Do we know more about who the hackers are?
Well, we sort of do. I mean, the thing about internet hackers is you really don't know who you're dealing with. So there are a series of gangs. Akira was the gang that were in that piece that you just saw. But is that Akira? If somebody else might attack and use that name, you don't know who you're dealing with for sure. Generally speaking, what makes it hard for the security services and for the investigators is this is a threat that's overseas, often countries like Russia or North Korea or Iran, where it's very hard to reach out there. You know, these attacks take place in areas where you just can't try and prevent them. And some of those might be geopolitically orientated, so there'll be direct attacks. There has been this sort of recent spate of attacks, and this expression "scattered spiders," which people might have heard of. You know, scattered spiders is that the authorities say is a name that the media has given these people, but they represent a sort of different brand of attacker, we are told, which is English-speaking, kind of people who came through gaming. So they got into gaming, cheats, worked out how to break the system, and that got them in. Part of the thing that I find amazing about hacking is it often isn't as basic as computer geeks rewriting code. We know from the M&S attack that was effectively a blag. Somebody bluffed their way into a system, you know, pretended, not about M&S, but generally the blagging works. You say, look, I've forgotten my password, can you get me in? And then you get a weak link, you're in, and then you're in the system and you can do damage. So that is a different kind of threat. But generally the gangs are overseas, and then there is this sort of new threat from English-speaking countries.
Yeah, it's really fascinating. It's great to see another investigation from you on this subject, Richard. We always appreciate having you on the BBC News Channel.
Thank you.
Well, you can watch Richard's Panorama Fighting Cyber Criminals tonight on BBC One at 8:30 p.m. if you're watching in the UK, and you can watch it on the iPlayer now.